I made the extremely tough decision to leave my husband.
Yesterday, I posted a video about a couple days ago, I posted a video about how I divorced, although I am very happy to be the villain in this story here.
Welcome to the wall. What do you think is the least valid reason for a woman to leave a 21-year marriage? For today's modern woman, it's simple. She was bored because her husband was too good. In short, a man who did everything right. But in the end, she decided he didn't make her happy, so she divorced him. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the like button. It's free, but that small gesture helps the channel grow a lot. Now then, without further introduction, let's get started.
I made the extremely tough decision to leave my husband last year after being with him for 21 years. We were married for 8 years. And my ex-husband is not a bad guy, wonderful father. But there were some things that would send people into orbit when I would tell them things. Like, number one, and I'm not exaggerating, my ex-husband did not tell me that he loved me. That sends people into outer space when I tell them that. That was something that I accepted, we'll call it accepted, but now I see it as settling. I had accepted this about him, but what ended up happening is years and years and years of what I will consider emotional neglect, unintentionally. I began to resent him, and there's a few videos that I want to make of things that I've learned, especially with us coming up on 1 year divorced, and what I learned about divorcing the good guy and what a villain that makes you, how hard it is on your kids. I just want this to reach someone going through the same thing or thinking about divorcing the good guy. And if you have questions, if you have concerns that you have for yourself or your kids, drop it in the comments. I'd love for somebody to ask me something because I feel like my story can help somebody. We're going to start here.
Oh, hell no!
It's hard to imagine. 21 years of marriage, a life built together, being a devoted father, spending decades providing for a woman, and suddenly, overnight, she leaves you because she's bored and needs some excitement. How convenient. My father always put it plainly. Women are addicted to attention and words of affirmation, even if they're complete lies. She just wanted to hear whatever would burn sweet in her ear, nice phrases that made her feel special. She didn't care how well you treated her, how many hours you worked, or how comfortable you kept her. In the end, all that mattered to her was how she felt in that moment. Remember this, fellas, a man sacrifices for his family. A woman sacrifices her family for her happiness. And yeah, she's the villain here. But let's keep going, because this is just getting started.
Yesterday, I posted a video about how I divorced my husband after being with him for 21 years. We were married for 8 years, and how he was the good guy. And it's getting quite a bit of attention. I expected that it would. I hate when people get on here and they're like, I didn't expect that to go viral. Now, it is getting way more attention than I expected it to get, but I knew it was the point of creating this account, if I'm being honest. I started my day yesterday with 79 followers, and I think I'm at like 2,600 as I'm creating this here. So let's just talk for a second, because I haven't been able to go through all the comments. But the resounding question is, what do I define as a good guy? And I'm gonna be very honest with you. Some of the stuff that I'm reading, a lot of women going through the same situation, okay? But what you all are describing and my definition of a good guy is not the same thing. Some of you. But my husband was a good guy. Like, he really was. I didn't divorce him because of anything other than I was not happy. I told him for years that he would be an excellent partner for someone, just not me. I just did not feel like we were a good fit for each other. And it was really hard to let go because we had been together for so long. And yes, one of the things I mentioned in that video was that he never told me that he loved me. And that was one of the things that I had accepted that eventually I grew to resent him for. That wasn't the reason why I left him. But it was, I've called mine and his relationship death by 1,000 cuts, because that's essentially what happened. And I plan to go into detail, but my definition of the good guy is not that he was a good guy to everybody else, and he was not a good guy to me. He was a good guy, and I take full responsibility for my part in why the relationship was the way that it was. I left because I wasn't happy. I had checked out of that relationship long before I even knew that I was unhappy. And, you know, I had a lot of people in my life, specifically my mother, who encouraged that I wait until my daughter graduated high school. Everybody had all these opinions, but nobody was in that marriage but me. I felt it was only fair that I left the minute that I realized I was unhappy. I created this account to help other women. I'm getting a lot of messages, and I'll get to the point where I'm able to really dedicate the time and attention to some of these specific questions. But my ex-husband he really was a good guy. He still is a good guy. He's just not the guy for me. And that was not an exaggeration. When I say that he quite literally did not tell me that he loved me, we'd been married 8 years, and I think our wedding day was the last time that he looked at me and said, I love you. Like, he didn't say it when he got off the phone. He didn't say it. That does not mean he did not show me in other ways that he loved me. So it is possible for you to just simply be with the wrong person, even though that person is a good person. He is really a good person. He's going to make some woman very happy. It was just not going to be me. And I'll go into detail why maybe. There's a lot of people who think they know one piece of the story, and so they know the whole story. But there's 21 years of stuff to unpack here. 22 now, because in December we'll have been divorced a year.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
These modern women are the ones who put the least effort into the relationship. They expect the man to be loving, a provider, a good father, a handyman, the one who plans the dates and everything else, while they just sit back and receive without lifting a finger. There's a reason her mother told her to wait, because things could change. We men don't check out of a relationship out of responsibility. But if a woman truly loves you, she does her part too. She plans trips, keeps the intimacy alive, sets up surprises. The problem is, women today want you to do it all, including bringing in the money, while they build up resentment because they didn't hear, I love you, every single day. What happened to 50-50? Where's her contribution to the relationship? She walked away from a 21-year marriage because she was bored, said she didn't enjoy the sex, and wanted excitement with someone else. How convenient, right? But let's keep going.
Women.
A couple days ago, I posted a video about how I divorced the good guy after being married for 8 years, but we were together for 21 years. And that's gotten quite the attention, 2 million views at this point. I have made some follow-up videos saying that I would eventually tell my story the way I want to tell it on my own terms, because that's what I came here for. I've been very apprehensive because the comment section is gnarly. And I know that the reason why I left is not the same story as a lot of people, and it is very selfish. The reason why I left was very selfish. And I'm ready for all the hate that's going to come, because I know from that comment section and from my inbox that there are so many women who are afraid to say the same thing. Let's start here. People fail to realize a man can be a good guy, a great father, but a horrible husband. The reason why I decided to pick this comment is because it's the #1 liked comment. That means a lot of people resonate with that. A lot of you are married to a good guy on the outside, but not a good guy on the inside. That was not the case. Nobody will be able to convince me on any video and any comment that my ex-husband is a bad guy. I share one tidbit of information that I considered emotional neglect and that I was settling, but I accepted about him, was that he couldn't tell me that he loved me. And that was not an exaggeration. A question that I get a lot is, did you tell him you loved him? I did, but I stopped doing that after a while. My ex-husband and I met when I was 16. We had our first child when I was 19. A lot transpired over that time. In the beginning, yes, he could tell me that he loved me. So much to unpack there, and I will go more into, what happened over the years, if that will help someone. But people are wondering, why did I leave? Why did I leave? I left because I wanted to. I left because I didn't want to be married anymore. I left because I didn't enjoy marriage. There were a lot of things wrong in that relationship, and I think that we had grown apart. I never felt like I could be myself. I never felt like I could be myself. If you go through my videos, you will see a transformation happen. And that transformation did not happen until I divorced my husband. I've never felt more like myself than I have in my entire life. I now know what love feels like. All the things that my husband did to show me that he loved me, I can do for myself. And that might be selfish. And I knew I was going to break my children's heart. And we have a lot to unpack here. But I left because I wanted to. Because essentially I was in a relationship with somebody that I really didn't even like. And I felt like he didn't like me. He was attached. 21 years is a long time. We had a lot of appearances to upkeep. There was no abuse happening. There was years and years of emotional neglect on his part and mine. We resented each other. I did him a favor. Let's start here.
Stop it. Get some help.
Brothers, when a woman suddenly starts to change, nose ring like a cow, tattoos all over her body, and starts talking about, I need to be myself, it's not always just a style choice. A lot of times, it's a warning. It's the sign that she no longer wants to be a wife. She wants to feel free and go back to the streets, to what they like to call living life, which really means going back to the sausage fest. Think about it. You've got a man who works hard, is a good father, a provider, never abusive, always involved with the house and the kids. What were you bringing to the table? Were you giving him real happiness? If he doesn't say, I love you, maybe it's because you're not fun or special to him, especially after years of emotional neglect and built-up resentment on both sides. A lot of women think cooking a meal is enough. Where were the trips you planned, the lingerie to surprise him, the romantic dinners, or sending the kids to grandma's so you could have some alone time? You didn't do any of that, but you still complain about not feeling excitement. Of course not. You didn't put in any effort. And now, after the divorce, you talk about a transformation that's really just selfish.
Although I am very happy to be the villain in this story here for you and the amusement in your group chat. But you're actually proving a really good point for my content here. And it is that I did not need permission, and you do not need permission. I did not need a villain or proof that my marriage was bad in order for me to leave it. You don't need evil women like me who leave marriages for no other reason than they wanted to be the reason why you don't want to get married. Maybe that is your reason, but you in this group chat are trying to convince your family that that's why. And I'm here to tell you with my content that you don't have to do that. That is my point here. I didn't come on here to share the story of why I got divorced. I came here to share with people that you can actually make a decision for yourself about your life without anybody else's permission. So what I see here is not somebody who disagrees with what I say. It's someone saying that my family pressures me to settle down and I don't want to. And so I'm using you as the reason. Because guess what? There are more women out in the world like me who stay in a relationship for so long, wake up one day and they're like, you know what, this isn't for me, and they leave. But there's also good women out there. I'm not convincing you to get married at all. That's the thing, that's your choice. Just like it was my choice. My point here is any man or woman should be able to choose for themselves how they want to live their life without anybody else's outside expectations. Your family maybe pressures you to settle down and you don't want to, and you feel the need to convince them. That's sad, but we've all been there. I think that is the biggest struggle for a lot of women, is that there's so many outside opinions on how they should live their life. And don't get me wrong, I was worried about disappointing people for a long time. Until one day I woke up and realized I didn't need a villain. I didn't need a catastrophic reason to leave. I didn't need permission. I just needed to make the choice that if that's what I felt like was best for myself, that's what I was going to do. I don't even share every detail of why I left my husband because I don't want it to somehow become a checklist for another woman. It's not because I'm worried about somebody finding out the details. Is that I realized when I shared that first video that there were so many women coming to me asking for specific details because I think they really want permission to be like, well, this woman, she left her husband because of this. And so that means I have the validation. No, sis or brother in Christ, make your own decision for yourself. You don't need me to be your villain. Just like I don't need my ex-husband to be the villain. It only has to make sense to you. That's it. Choosing yourself should not come with a courtroom defense and proof and examples. You don't need that. Because I don't want to, that is a full sentence. Because I wanted to leave, that's a full sentence. So I actually really appreciate this comment more than you even know, because you have helped me prove a really good point.
Brothers, she left him simply because she was bored. You don't look at her now and see a traditional woman who wants a long-term relationship. No. You see someone who wants to feel like she's 20 again, ready to go back out to the streets. This woman got married at 19. Now she's over 35, and it's obvious what she wants: to get back into the sausage fest out there. And she makes it clear she doesn't need a reason. She just went after what she thought was best for her. Purely emotional decisions. But let's take a look at some interesting comments. Nose ring theory. Too many movies are corrupting expectations in marriage. A home is not something that should be broken only because your spouse, who behaves well towards you and the kids, has not called you beautiful or said that he loves you. Especially when you knew in courtship that he's not an expressive man. I think the real problem here is emotional neediness. You should have made it clear to him during courtship that not saying he loves you is a deal breaker. How much you getting in child support/alimony? How big is the house you got in the divorce? I don't understand why most women who separated still feel like their ex need to talk or meet with them. I thought the whole point of separation was not to see each other. You cannot have your divorce and still want to run your separated relationship. And again, it rings true: a man will sacrifice his happiness for his family, and a woman will sacrifice their family for their happiness. My husband is the good guy too. Great provider, loves our children, etc. I'm unhappy, and have been for years. He's, as you said, not the guy for me. My ex-husband was a good provider and a good dad. But that's where it ended. Emotionally draining being a married couple, but being a single mother. The only thing I didn't do was work. He worked, and that's where his duties ended. For years on years on years. Did you tell him? Taking him out for dinner and be like, I appreciate all you do, I see you, but there's one thing I feel like I'm missing, and I want us to work on it together cause I might miss things as well that I don't know. You're still a good woman if you leave a relationship, for any reason. Not being happy is a reason, and it's a completely valid one.
And I need y'all to hear this part clearly. He was not a bad man.
That's it. I need you to stop what you're doing, pause this, go listen to that. That is what I mean when I say my ex-husband was not a bad man. That's what I mean. And I've been holding off on touching on him being a good man again because the comment section gets very vicious and everybody has their wild definition, very strict definition of what a good man is. She says at one point that he showed up in body but not in spirit. Felt. That whole video is exactly how I felt pretty much my entire marriage, but definitely the last 5 years of the marriage. Go watch that. I have literally held off making more content because I could not, I had the idea here, what makes my ex-husband a good man? And I couldn't put it into words. She did that for me. She did that.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
If you saw all the comments along with what the woman said, this confirms something I always tell men. Never let yourself go. Women are incredibly selfish. They will sacrifice the family for their own happiness. That's why I say, be selfish too. Hit the gym, buy clothes that fit you well, go out with your friends, and bring some drama into that woman's life. Even if it causes problems, remember this. Emotion, whether good or bad, is still emotion. Women are addicted to that. She left him because she was bored. The men this happens to are the ones she knows will have a hard time finding someone new. But if that man starts focusing on himself, finds a younger woman, takes her on trips and dates, leaves the kids with his ex, watch how fast that woman turns into his enemy, filled with hate. Even being too good in a relationship is a mistake. There are women who stay their whole lives with trash men just for the dopamine they give them. I'm not telling you to live like a toxic guy. I'm saying, learn to put yourself first, even if it pisses your woman off. Because the moment she decides to leave you, believe me, she won't think about everything you did for her or thank you for any of it. That's why responsibility matters. Because responsibility. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. If he was a good man and a good father, why was boredom enough of a reason to leave? If I left because I wanted to is considered valid, then what value does marriage hold as a commitment? If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to keep creating more content. Stay tuned for the next video from the wall.